Okay. And we are live. I'll just watch that. Yeah, but I think we'll be fine. Okay. Let's go. 12:03. Yep. 12:03. We have a very special guest. Yep. Blake Filipi is going to join us. Find out what he's up to. Haven't heard from him in a little bit. He is oh wow, Elon Musk is at the Capitol. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I don't think that it is, but we're going to find out. One minute. We're live in 1 minute. Yup. We are. Oh, man. He has 2 P's in his name. I'm very sensitive to misspelling Italian last names. All right. Oh, wow. Yep. All right, folks, we are standing by. JR is going to give us the word, and then we are good to go. Whoa. All right, we're going to find out what that's all about. All right, we are live on, and we are at 12:06. 12:06 on this Wednesday. Good weather is coming, but certainly not today. Good day to get organized. Folks, good afternoon. This is the Real News at Noon. It is the John DePietro Show. And let's go over the platforms. AM 1380, 99.9 FM. You can listen either one, especially the AM 1380. It is a flamethrower, for crying out loud. Now, good afternoon to everybody that is watching on Facebook Live, our John DePietro Show Facebook page. Boom, there it is. And also, we are live on YouTube, and we're also live on X. Now, but wait, there's more. You can also listen at the website, and it is crystal clear audio at DePietro.com. How do I listen at the website? That's a good question. You just go to the top of the website or log on. At the top, you shall see listen live. There's a clue. There's definitely a red flag, so to speak, right at the top of the website, DePietro.com. Blake Filipi is going to join me coming up at 12:30. Blake Filipi, 2 years ago, was the Republican minority leader of the House. Admittedly, I'm a big fan. He was rumored, hey, maybe the guy's going to run for governor 2 years ago. He didn't. He actually decided to take a break from politics, but I am always intrigued by his thoughts. He's a very talented, charismatic leader. And I want to hear his thoughts. We're just going to have a chat. He's going to join us in the 12:30 slot. And folks, I hope you recognize and identify. Yesterday we had Sheriff Tom Hodgson, one of the all-time greatest, as our 12:30 guest. Today we have Blake Filipi as our 12:30 guest. So we're using the 12:30 slot, so to speak, as our guest slot on The Real News at Noon. This portion of our program, and again, it's audio, it's video, it's online, it's on the radio, it's on Facebook, YouTube, and X. As we continue to conquer platforms, very soon we're going to be live on TikTok as well. And then also we'll probably be live on Instagram. So folks, we just continue to move into those spaces occupied by the new media. This portion of the program is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Remember, locally sourced vegetables, sweet corn, native tomatoes. They have it all. Next time, maybe you're coming back from the beach, pop in 3688 Quaker Lane, North Kingstown, right off of Route 4. It is a full-scale nursery at PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Look for them on Facebook. It's Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron. Annuals, perennials, hanging pots, hanging impatiens. Folks, they grind it. Their next day off is Christmas Day. And I admire their work ethic. It's a family business. It's a local business. And I love seeing them thrive. I also love when people pop in and then they send me a picture of what they just purchased there. Stop it and see them, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Well, folks, obviously, everyone has been buzzing, and I hope it's not lost on you, about on DePietro.com. Now, if you were watching Road Patrol Monday night, we suddenly ended it. Because why? Because I said I have to go home. It was, I think, 9:30, and we have some police body cam that we're going to upload. We had it loaded by, online, I should say, at the website, DePietro.com, Monday night at 10 o'clock. This morning, today's Wednesday. I'm not breaking news here, but today's Wednesday. And what do I see on the Channel 10 website? New win, Cranston Police body cam. Now, I told you they were then going to follow, but I want you to be, point out. And that's worthy of stars, by the way. But no, I want you to know we had that 2 days almost before Channel 10 and Channel 12, who really now are our competitors. And listen, I fully get it. It's the ultimate David and Goliath. But still, we'll take the wins where we can get them. Folks, DePietro.com, brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge with Anthony Santos, and the market at Coesit is open. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. Now, we are going to talk to Blake Filipi, as I mentioned, coming up at 12:30. I really like, everyone is buzzing about the fact that Dave McCormick is running for the Senate in Pennsylvania. And if you were listening to the radio show, I played it last hour. He's basically come out with what I would say is the blueprint about VP Harris. And right now, what you have to understand about Kamala Harris is this is just the honeymoon period. This is the honeymoon period. It's all fake. For those of you who've ever watched Veep, starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus on HBO, who was Elaine on Seinfeld. On Veep, she's the vice president, and the president isn't going to run for re-election. It's coming to life. So much of it parallels. There are now videos out that show Harris and her. Kamala Harris is totally fake. She's not ready for this. And by the way, let me just read some headlines. As the MAGA turns, must distance himself from Trump. Tesla shares are down. Nick Fuentes refuses to endorse President Trump. That's a good thing. 2024 race, prosecutor versus, I don't buy into that. Don wants multiple debates. Kamala crowd chants, lock him up. So Biden's going to address the nation tonight, and I'm seeing that Senator Kelly of Arizona is right now the early vice president favorite to be picked. It certainly seems to be down to so Senator Mark Kelly, he's the senator from Arizona. He is a former astronaut. So it seems as though it's between the governor of Pennsylvania, who by the way, Shapiro, very impressive, by the way, but he is Jewish, and you're talking about, as much as Kamala Harris, her husband is the vice president, whatever we call him, second gentleman. You have to understand, for instance, Harris is not going to the Netanyahu address in Congress. There's a big part of the Democrat Party right now. You listen, that all of this free Palestine stuff, it's anti-Semitic is what it is. And so that's why I don't know. It's hard to tell right now whether or not it's in fact who she's going to pick, but it does seem to be a very strategic pick. By the way, folks, so, Governor McKee, he's all in on Harris, and they all are, right? I believe you have the right as listeners, followers, and so forth, when you're hearing local people, especially talk radio hosts, when you're hearing them talk about the 2024 election, I'm not going to say, not only do you have the right, but you actually think about, you actually have an obligation to call into the host and ask them, who are you voting for? Don't accept someone that says, I'm not sure yet. How could, listen, has there ever been a more stark, if someone says I'm voting for Kennedy, that's an answer. If someone says I'm supporting Harris, but you should ask them that, obviously because of my busy schedule, I don't hear a lot of this stuff, but I hear people like complaining on social media, pork boys off, and the person filling it. You have a right when these people are filling in. And if they say, well, I'm not going to say, well, how do you run in 2024? How do you run a talk show where you're asking people for their opinions, but you won't share your opinion of who you're going to vote for? A vote is an opinion. A vote is actually your opinion in form of, you have an opinion on who you think would be best in the elected, position, and then you're actually taking action on it. That's really what a vote is. It's a way you many times the opinions are useless, but voting is in fact where then you're voicing your opinion on who you think would be better in that position. Such as in September of 2022, I voted in the Democrat primary for Helena Foulkes. Why? Because I felt, first of all, Ashley Kalis didn't need it, and number two, I felt she would be better than Governor McGree. By the way, I was right. But don't allow, if there's someone behind a microphone saying, tell us, who are you voting for? So whether it is a regular host or whether it's a fill-in host, whether it's Hummel, whoever, as a listener, let me ask you the question, who are you voting for? And then make your decision accordingly. At this point, I mean, anyone that would vote for Kamala Harris, they clearly, I'll tell you what's happening right now. They're so relieved to be rid of Biden that they're all trying to convince themselves that Harris would make a good president. And they're trying to pretend that this is 2008 all over again. It's not. Kamala Harris is not Barack Obama. It's not. And regardless of what you think of former President Obama, that election, the moment he came in, the way he arrived at the scene, that is like a 1 in a million type. Many times these presidential candidates, they are a 1 in a million, the way they come along and the way it all just hits at a certain time. So she's the farthest thing. The video that's already out there that they're talking about, she's in favor of open borders. She's in favor of defunding the police. Don't buy this business that she was a prosecutor. She's not a serious individual. She's not. They're trying to create her into that she is a female Barack Obama, and she's not. She's the farthest thing from a Barack Obama. She should never have been the vice president in the first place. And you're going to watch. Let them enjoy this whole thing. Oh, wow, 3,000 people came out. They had to get a bigger room. The money's pouring in. All that is they're so relieved that Biden is no longer on the ticket. But for the elected officials, whether it's Senator White House, or whether it's Gabe Amo or Seth Magaziner or any of them, they should be hit with. I want to see them defend the things that she's on record that she believes in. Because I'm telling you, she's far more left. They're trying to say the prosecutor. She left that behind a long time ago. She doesn't have, it's very simple to me, she doesn't have the temperament to be president. And you know what else is just comical? They're trying to say this should not be about her gender, and it shouldn't be about race. You have Van Jones on CNN saying black men are going to defend her. He even said black men, voters, they didn't care about Hillary Clinton. They're not going to let a sister. He said this. They're not going to let a sister be taken down. They're trying to make this all about race and gender. And then if someone lobbies a criticism, how do they classify it? Well, that's a very racist, sexist remark. Listen, her record on the border is clear. Her record in general is clear. Her condescending approach whenever she gets questioned. The way that this is lining up for Kamala Harris, this is exactly how she thinks the system should be, which is they should, in her mind, why would there be a primary? In her mind, why would there be a challenger? That's how arrogant she is. This isn't about earning votes. This is no process. Again, we're going to talk to Blake Filipi coming up at the bottom of the hour. Folks, this portion of the John DePietro show, I did get an email from Mark, who was asking me, Mark is thinking of putting a fence together, and asked me about it. Not putting it together. He wants to set up a fence. They just got a new dog, and asked me, who did I recommend? Mark, and I told him, contact fenceri.com, the most Rhode Island name ever. Fenceri.com, 401-732-0555. 401-732-0555. FenceRI.com. They are the premier fence and deck contractor. With FenceRI.com, $200 discount if you mention our program. Wood deck construction, licensed and insured, 5-star rating, whether it's for a pet, or whether it's for a pool fencing, or whether it's for just privacy or security. FenceRI.com. Get them in the mix. Here's what I'm asking you on this Wednesday. If you're thinking of having a fence installed on your property, or it could be for your work, your company, residential, commercial, or a deck. A deck is a game changer. When we first moved into our home, we didn't have a deck. And I thought, okay, we'll just sit out in the yard. Then when you have a deck, it's, oh my God, I'm never going back to just sitting in the grass. A deck is like a total, I love it. Folks, they are the premier fence and deck contractor. Long-term quality solutions, your yard, it's fenceri.com, or call them 401-732-0555. Now, speaking of your yard, you want to have your best yard possible? JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service. Call them now. Don't wait for hurricane season. Have them trim. Maybe there's some dangerous trees or branches. JD Lawn Care Tree Service. You can call them at 401-441-0154. I share their Facebook page. And also someone asked me, who do I recommend? Elizabeth is having some family over in early August, and they're going to use her yard. They don't want to get eaten alive. And because of all the rain we've had, it is a bad mosquito and tick season. Contact Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. With Mosquito Joe, the mosquitoes will go. I share their Facebook page. You can call them at 401-426-2032. Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Let them, right now, the Democrats and the media, they're doing everything possible to try to present Kamala Harris as though she is this accomplished, successful. Do you see the way they're trying to set up the boundaries, right? If you attack her or criticize her, well, that's racist because she's a person of color. Well, that's sexist because she's a woman. And that there you have CNN on the air saying black men are not going to allow them. He actually said that. They're not going to allow them to attack a sister. He said that the way they did Hillary Clinton. What are you talking about? You can't have it both ways. You can have it one way or you can have the other way. You can't have it both ways. And this whole thing of brat, she's brat. Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania, he framed it perfectly. She is the most liberal nominee in the history of having a presidential candidate. But this business of Van Jones, of the brothers, are not going to allow them to do this to a sister. What is that supposed to mean? Now, I'm just seeing this. Providence City Council Chief of Staff, June Rose, was arrested in D.C. last night. And why were they in D.C.? This is a disgrace. Protesting against Israel. Wow. June Rose. Oh, boy. That's okay. That's different. He needs to be removed. June Rose. That's the Providence City Council Chief of Staff. Terrible. And then there's a photo. He posted that he was arrested. I don't know this individual. That's I'll post some photos later. I don't know what this outfit is that he's wearing. I'm thrown by this. They, them is an understatement. He should be terminated immediately. The Providence City Council Chief of Staff was arrested protesting. Enough should be terminated immediately. This is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I just should be fired immediately. Ridiculous. Stop for the Gaza ceasefire. It's all against Israel. It's all against Israel is what it is. Wow. FBI Director Wray of Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crook. So far, we have not found any evidence of any accomplice or co-conspirator. Rep. Morgan gives her thoughts on President Biden dropping out of the race. Again, he's going to speak tonight. Radical activists have infiltrated the Watergate Hotel and released maggots into the Israeli conference room. Wow. What is wrong with these people? Terrible. Totally unacceptable. Axios has updated its story to note it referred to Harris as the border czar. She was the border czar. She absolutely was the border czar. She's in charge of the border, for crying out loud. You can't have it both ways. I want to also just mention, I put this, CBS this morning, they did a piece where they said, based on the shooting, where the president was grazed and someone lost their life. That was CBS News put out that report. Is that, so they're already downplaying that 2 people were put in critical condition because of the shooting? I every time you try to, what do you mean with that grazed? So now it's grazed. President Trump wasn't shot; he was grazed. And here, I think I have it right here. Listen to this report.
Just step down. The 29-year career veteran wrote, "I take full responsibility for the security lapse. However, this incident does not define us." Cheadle had been facing growing calls to resign ever since a gunman opened fire at a Trump rally on July 13th, killing one person and grazing the former president.
It's overdue. She should have done it
that is
earlier, and now we have to look for.
That is CBS. No, there were 4 people shot. One 74 years old. Both of them were in critical condition. How do you do a report like that? Like, when I hear that, don't tell me that's someone trying to actually minimize what happened. There were 4 people shot. Not to go on and on about it, but 4 people basically fits the clarification or definition, I should say. That's how they classify a mass shooting, is if 4 people are shot. So in other words, the Trump rally turned into a mass shooting. How do you then just describe that as the president was grazed and 1 dead? No, there were 4 shot, 2 critical, 1 fatal, and if the president had not turned his head, that would have been fatal. Wow. Talk about, is this what it's going to be like from now to November? But what I don't understand is how does that make, that was CBS. How does that make that even on the air? How is it that someone behind the scenes doesn't say, now hold on a minute. 4 shot, 2 critical, 1 fatal, and the president was shot. Well, he's just grazed. What? Before we bring on Blake Filipi, folks, I want to remind you, if you're thinking of a new roof, Royal Exterior, contact Andrew today, 401-533-9989, based in Johnston. Royal Exterior, 401-533-9989 for siding or roofing. If you're listening or watching right now on this Wednesday, and maybe you've been thinking of getting a new roof, contact Andrew at Royal Exterior. Free estimate, 401-533-9989. Remember, with Royal Exterior, where the customer is king or queen. Royal Exterior today, 401-533-9989. Now, I share their Facebook page. They also have a great website. It's royalexteriorri.com. But if you're listening or watching on this Wednesday, and maybe you've been thinking it is time for new roofing or siding, contact Andrew at Royal Exterior today, 401-533-9989. Again, based in Johnston, free quote, put them into the mix. See, I'm confident that if you contact Andrew, then that's who you will choose. But at least give them a turn at bat. 401-533-9989, Royal Exterior, where the customer is king or queen. Folks, this 2024 update, and it is a huge election, and it's brought to you by J. Perry Paving. Call them today. Remember, maybe you're thinking of having your driveway paved, or maybe it is patio or parking lot, whatever, especially new driveway certainly can make a difference. J. Perry Paving, 401-732-1730, free quote, letter J, J. Perry Paving, 401-732-1730 for letter J, J. Perry Paving, licensed and insured contractor. If you're listing right now on this Wednesday, the Real News at Noon, and you've been thinking, maybe it is time for a new driveway, contact J. Perry Paving today, or your parking lot or patio, 401-732-1730. Folks, letter J, J. Perry Paving. Well, good afternoon. You're listening. This is the John DePietro Show, and let's go through our platforms again. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. You can listen online at the website, depetro.com. Now, but wait, there's more. By the way, at the website, it is crystal clear audio. You can also, right now we're live on X, formerly Twitter, and also we're live on our YouTube page, John DePietro Show, which is we're almost at 30,000 subscribers on the YouTube page, which does have the body cam video. And then we're also live on our Facebook page. So radio, AM 1380, 99.9 FM, online at the website, depetro.com, Facebook Live, John DePietro Show, and then X, and then also on YouTube. Folks, joining us right now, I want to tell you, I have great admiration for this individual. I am very curious to hear his thoughts on things. He is, and I'm not trying to embarrass him, but he's very modest. He is a natural. He is a very talented individual. He was the House Minority Leader. He was an independent and then became a Republican, which is not easy to do in our region of the country. But he certainly, safe to say, he was very good with the media. He very effectively changed things that had impact at the Rhode Island State House. And I'm very fond of him, and I haven't talked to him in a while, and I'm thrilled to talk to him. Folks, joining us right now is the former Republican House Minority Leader, and it is the one and only, and let me just bring him in. There we go. And joining us right now is the one and only Blake Filipi. I normally would call him Leader Filipi, but it's great to see him now, an attorney practicing everywhere, really. Blake, great to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, John. I'm happy to see you in good health.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Blake, I was seeing some of your comments on X, and I want to just hear you out a little bit on what we've seen just take place, where you had the Democrat nominee, won the primary, all the delegates, President Biden. He's going to address the nation tonight, but on Sunday pulled out of the race. As much as they're saying it's not a coronation, everyone lines up behind Vice President Harris.
Part of me thinks it might be a fait accompli, that this was the plan all along, and the purpose was to avoid a nasty Democratic primary, which I think there certainly would have been had Joe Biden announced 6 months ago that he was not running for re-election. So if this was the plan all along, then they kind of had to create a story. And and I don't know for sure exactly what's happening, but the way the debate went down and the reaction after the debate kind of made my spidey sense stand up a little bit. And the reason why is that anyone paying attention for the past 2.5 years knew that Joe Biden was failing. And it shouldn't have come as a surprise to anybody that he is having problems in old age. And just the way that the media and everything spun it after the debate, saying, well, nobody knew. And this was the media that had been covering him for so long. So what I think they were able to do is amass all the delegates, party insiders, and then after the debate, create this story about how Joe Biden is getting pushed out. He held back, he relented finally, and then the bunch of party insiders get to choose the nominee, and they don't have a nasty Democratic primary. I kind of think it's a little anti-democratic, frankly.
You know what, Blake, what's also can't be ignored is, let's face it, it almost seemed as though he was going to withstand it because they pushed back even over the weekend. He was supposed to be going to hit the campaign trail. But what can't be ignored is a big factor here seemed to be that suddenly the big donors, and even Jeffrey Katzenberg in Hollywood is considered, he's raised a ton of money for the party. George Clooney felt he had the right to pen. The New York Times published his op-ed. He threw, make no mistake about it, George Clooney threw that massive fundraiser that had President Obama there and President Clinton. What can't be ignored, it was basically they were telling Biden in a gun to the head that if you don't drop out, we're going to pull the money on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think suppose this theory I have is correct. I think the only way it would pass the smell test is to have President Biden push back for a little bit and then just have there be all this pressure that he finally relents to. If the day after the debate, President Biden just said, okay, I'm out, then I think people would start saying, well, why didn't we know about this 6 months ago? So I think that I'm not in the room. I don't know for sure exactly what happened. But the fact that the media had covered for him for so long, only to then throw him under the bus, that it just doesn't make sense. What kind of makes sense, I think, is that it kind of has been the plan all along, and the media has been on board with it. Cover for Biden for as long as possible, and then throw him under the bus once the primary is over. And I'm not saying that George Clooney or Katzenberg were in on it, but maybe they played, a useful role unknowingly.
It's interesting, Blake. And again, folks, my guest is Blake Filipi, was the House Minority Leader at the State House, forever changed, had impact with demanding and holding his ground on the JCLS. But Blake, you go back to November, President Biden, that was the last time he had done a full news press briefing, done a full presser, passed on the Super Bowl. The White House even pushed back when there was, you'd see video of him losing his train of thought. We would start to talk and then say, well, anyway, never mind. Almost, come on, you have a relative that they say they go down to the basement and they're like, why did I come down here? But they pushed on the debate. What I think is also interesting is that he agreed to debate President Trump early. It was the earliest debate. It was before the convention. And did they, let's play this out. There's no way this could have come to a shock to them when he walked down on the stage and you could tell within a minute he was waving to there was no crowd. It was a studio audience, and there was no crowd to bail him out, by the way. You could tell right away his throat was raspy, and within 5 to 10 minutes, you could tell that he was not up to it in any way. I think it is interesting. How could they have been shocked that he came out when it was very obvious after that of just how much he had been failing?
Yeah, and how could our news media be shocked? The next day they were throwing their hands up in the air. What happened? A week before, Joe Scarborough was saying how this is the best Biden has ever been.
Yes.
So I don't know that Biden was in on it. I think there were some people who certainly were in on it who were calling the shots. I also don't want to make light of people with dementia or frailties as they get older. It happens to all of us. It happens to my family, and pray for his and pray for him. But I think if everything we're told is true, the best possible scenario is that we were lied to as a nation by the White House and his closest advisors, and it denied millions upon millions of people who would have voted in the Democratic primary to choose their nominee. And that's looking at it in the best possible light is still a pretty raw deal, I think, for the process.
Do you think it's a fair question, Blake, to say if he is not up to running for re-election, and again, we're all sympathetic, but how is he then still fit to be president for the next 6 months?
100%. He has the nuclear football. The world is on a precipice. And I think it's a fair question for anyone to ask. How can we not ask it? It affects every one of us, our families, our futures. It's not cruel to ask these questions, and anyone who says that you're being cruel by asking these questions is just trying to avoid this important conversation. I am nervous having someone in presidency who doesn't appear strong enough to handle the weight of the office.
Because let's be honest, this is the job he's in right now, that at 2 a.m., right, they wake him up and say, ships from China are cruising towards Taiwan. What should we do? Or you have a foreign leader on the phone with them saying, I have this type of thing. I don't think he gives a lot of confidence. But Blake, I want to go back to the element of right now, there's this concerted effort, and you even see all the local Dems are falling in line. How is this not a coronation? And how is this not everything preaching? Forget about who the Republican nominee is, whether even it was, if it was Nikki Haley, if it was whoever, it was someone that then prevailed and President Trump wasn't. This business of democracy on the ballot, he won the primaries. He's the candidate. And all of a sudden, without any type of contest, boom, she's anointed and suddenly she's the candidate. That's not how the process is supposed to work.
Totally. And it actually kind of supports the theory that I've posited is that how is it that she was able to lock up all the delegates within, I think, 48 hours of his announcement? I mean,
Yep.
given where we are right now, wouldn't the most quote unquote democratic thing to do would be to have some type of open process where anyone who wants to run would stand up, announce, and they have a series of debates over the next 4 weeks before the Democratic convention, and then let the convention decide? It really seems like a fait accompli.
Yes. Which
And,
you
and
could do, right? And we know who the
yeah,
people are, right? I mean, it's former Governor Gina Raimondo. It's the governor of California, Newsom. It's the governor of Michigan. It's even, the governor of Pennsylvania. How do you not say, let's at least have one forum and put them all on the stage with her, and then we're going to do a roll call vote at the convention? By the way they used to pick who it was that was going to be the nominee. That's how it was picked. That's how Kennedy ended up on the ballot. That's how then, they had the meeting with LBJ in 1960 to say, okay, we need the governor of Texas and he's going to be the VP. This absolutely is the smoke-filled room coronation of Kamala Harris.
yeah, and these delegates, are they potted plants? Do they exercise no agency? How are they just going along with this? I don't think it breeds confidence. I don't think it breeds confidence for people who are Democrats about how this whole thing went down. Not only were they denied an actual primary with voting, but now, given the situation, they're being denied any meaningful debate on who the nominee should be. There's a lot of people in the state who could lobby our delegates. And the delegates could hear from the voters about who they want. And that could happen in every state across the country. And you could actually have some process. Obviously, it's not as good of a process as a primary would be, but given where we are now, this coronation, I think it just breeds more skepticism, at least in me, about how this
Yeah.
whole thing went down over the past 6 months, that this
Yep.
has been the plan all along. And we don't want to give a voice to the people on the ground. And I just think, there's one, you can always have different positions in politics. The one thing that I have a hard time with is hypocrisy. And I really think this is just smacks of hypocrisy, given that the mantra of the Democrats is, the Republicans are a threat to democracy. Republicans had a full primary process and
Yes.
chose Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think that's far more democratic than what's been happening on the Democrat Party side. And they're going to run on saving democracy, and I just think it rings hollow, frankly.
Folks, my guest is Blake Filipi, former House Minority Leader. Blake, you've had a chance to step back a little bit. I'm curious to hear your thoughts where you think the state is right now. I can tell you there's a recent poll where a large majority of voters feel the state is headed in the wrong direction. Governor McKee has this bridge like an anchor tied around his neck, right or wrong, but 29% approval rating, 19% approval rating in the East Bay. I'm curious to hear, you not only had a front row seat, you were in the game and active against a very tough speaker with Mattiello. I'm curious to hear Blake Filipi's thoughts on just kind of the state of Rhode Island right now.
Yeah, my opinion hasn't changed, and I think, I'd like to say that there's nothing worse than wasted talent, and that's what this state really is on a large scale. We have such potential to really be an amazing place. We have everything in front of us. We're between Boston and New York. We have international airports, integrated train systems, I-95, stunning natural beauty. We really have everything to be an amazing place, and we just don't. And with love for the people of Rhode Island, we just have very low expectations, and you get what you expect in politics, and we don't expect much. And we don't demand much, and that's exactly what we're going to get, and it's exactly what we have, and we've had it for a long time. So the state of the state, I think, is stays it. It's not moving. It's in neutral. It's frankly rolling backwards a little bit, and it's just manifestly sad. I travel around all over the country, And, I was in Austin recently, and you should see what's going on
Oh, wow.
in Austin. It's exploding, and there's
Yep.
vibrancy and hope and optimism and investment and youthful vigor and creativity. And you're seeing that in a lot of major cities all over the country, and not even major ones, smaller ones. Even Memphis is doing really good. But in Rhode Island, it's the only new buildings that are being built are ones that get government subsidies. There's not much
Right.
private investment at all.
Yep.
It's kind of dirty. It's not the capital city that I grew up in
No.
at all. And
Yeah.
I think it's just very sad. And unfortunately, we have a curse of riches, because all the things that I named allow us in a way to keep limping by. If we were out in the middle of nowhere, United States, and we had the policies that we have here out there, we'd be bankrupt.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because we have like this, frankly, embarrassment of riches here, it kind of allows us to just keep being mediocre and getting by. And I think that's just very sad.
That is a great way to phrase it. Almost like an athlete who has remarkable size and gifted ability, but just no effort. The only reason succeeding is because of that strength of size or height or whatever it may be, but not through work ethic.
Yeah, and then that athlete will be good. They won't be great.
Right.
And I feel that's what is going on in our state.
Blake, before I let you go, what else? Any other thoughts of something that happened, or just an observation that that you feel that you want to share with everyone? Because as you know, I really respect your opinion. You had impact at the Rhode Island State House. I think you're a voice that is missed. I think your presence is missed. You're exactly right. I mean, Austin, when you hear about places like that, these aren't foreign countries. They're just other cities and other states that are operating differently. Anything else you want to just throw into the mix before I let you go?
Yeah, I would actually like to throw some hope out there in regards to President Trump and what happened 9 days ago. I think anyone who watches that sees that there was divine intervention. And I pray that Donald Trump hands his life over to God and becomes the leader that this world needs.
Yeah.
That's what I pray. He was a good man before, and I think he did things that benefited this country, but there is nothing that can change someone like a divine experience. And I don't think what happened 9 days ago can be anything but that. And I pray for him that he becomes a warrior for Christ and God after what happened. And the world needs that more than anything right now.
I think you're right. I agree with you, and the country does. And you can't come any closer to death. When people think of a brush with death, you can't come any closer than the way he did, and very frightening. Yeah. Folks, again, Blake Filipi. Blake, I can't tell you how good it is to see you, talk to you like this. You seem great. You're missed on the scene, and we'll do this again. I'm really glad you took the time to talk to us.
Anytime, John. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, brother. All right. I'll
Bye-bye.
see you. Blake Filipi right here joining us. Again, he is one of a kind, as I've said, and I think you can tell, folks, it's genuine. He has such a good way about him. He is such a natural. I'll tell you about Blake Filipi. Charismatic, walks into a room. I'll just come out as a candidate, guy's guy, but then also, women are impressed by him. He just has a natural ability of he's charismatic, likability. He just has it. He is missed on the scene. Folks, this portion of our program. Now, I did get an email from Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen has a foot problem to the point where she's decided she doesn't realize she doesn't go anywhere because she has a foot problem. Mary Ellen doesn't have to be that way. Not with Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists, located right in the Smithfield Medical Center, Route 5 in Smithfield. Now, their doctors, all three board certified podiatrists. They accept all health insurance. They perform all aspects of foot care, skin conditions, bunions, hammer toe. They treat injuries like fractures and sprains, digital x-ray on site. Their staff is fantastic. Foot pain, by the way, it's not normal. And you don't have to accept, it's not God's will that you're unable to walk around without having foot pain. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist. Foot pain is not normal, should not be ignored. Call today for your appointment, 401-949-3220. 401-949-3220. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist. Find them online at greenvillefoothandankle.com. Call them, and they're glad to help you. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening. This is the John DePietro Show. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Obviously, during this noontime, we use a lot of platforms to reach you, because I think that's a big part of where things are. Now, coming up next hour on the radio show, attorney Tim Dodd. You're going to hear him. You're going to hear him discuss the latest with the Karen Reed trial. Also, the latest. Dr. Mata is back. Claims he's going to sue the Boston Globe. You can hear that coming up next hour on the radio show. This portion of our program, folks, brought to you by Don Jose's Tequila, right on Federal Hill. Upscale Mexican cuisine, 45 high-end tequilas, 351 Atwells Avenue. Remember, Monday through Thursday, $26.99 three-course special. Margarita flights are just $26.99. Taco Tuesday, Tuesdays 3 to 7. Brunch on Sundays, 10:30 to 3. Plus, they have the back patio. Plus, they have Saturday night dining, al fresco out front. I love it. And if you watch Road Patrol, we always highlight it. Don Jose's Tequila, over 45 high-end tequilas, upscale Mexican cuisine right there on Federal Hill. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Can always listen online at the website, DePietro.com. Now, President Biden will address the nation tonight. It's time for our 2024 Spotlight on the White House, which is brought to you by Propane Plus. For all your propane needs in Rhode Island, call Propane Plus, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. Always online at propaneplus.com. So President Biden is going to address the nation tonight. But here's what you really need to step back from. I mean, this is the President of the United States we're talking about. We're talking about someone who has not been seen. He was seen yesterday, arriving back in Washington. He's not going to give a speech. He's going to read off the teleprompter. He decided to announce he wasn't going to seek re-election. And how did he do that? By putting out on X, out on formerly Twitter for everybody. No one is going to convince me that, this is the way they're operating right now. I don't know how, and Blake Filipi is exactly right. This business of democracy, Biden is the nominee. They're trying to cheer Biden on, and they're trying to act as if, it's not a coronation. He's to say all these great things. It's all ridiculous is what it is. Now, I'm also seeing Channel 12 has our story from last night. Person injured, another arrested, brawl on Wisdom Avenue in Providence. We were there. Police responded, getting reported large group of people fighting, multiple weapons. Ongoing feud between families. They used bricks. Channel 12 says baseball bats, bricks, and knives. We were told last night we were on scene that it was bricks and a pipe. Witnesses told police one of the suspects pointed a firearm at a juvenile during the fight. I didn't know that. Additional video reviewed led to him arrest. One person ran towards people with a baseball bat. One person taken to the hospital. Others refused treatment. Car also had minor damage from a brick. So we were on scene last night. We'll have that up on YouTube later this afternoon. And then also I see Channel 12 has body cam footage, shows Cranston feast. We had that on Monday night. It's Wednesday. And then obviously, folks, everyone, the situation in North Providence is just so horrible. Oh, wow. Line Cider Brewing Company to close this weekend. I didn't know that. Why are they closing? Popular East Greenwich Brewery will soon close its doors. Desire to dedicate family. They're going to sell the brewery. I don't know. You know, they're located in such an odd spot. You have to know where they are. They're not on the, it's right on South County Trail, but you can't see them from the road. So I don't care what anyone says. I mean, that's a big part kind of operating a business. I mean, unless you're really going to go all out, the situation in North Providence, I don't know what happened. I don't know if we're ever going to know exactly what happened, but it's really just horrific with the 4-year-old drowning in East Providence, in North Providence. So President Biden is going to address the nation tonight, but Blake Filipi is exactly right. It's this is preposterous now. They're all lining up her. She's not qualified to be. Not only is she not qualified to be president, she wouldn't even be the choice if they had a primary. The vice president, she's not a serious person. They're trying to pretend it's 2008 and she's the female Obama. Obama beat Hillary Clinton in the primary. The way they wanted to do it was that Hillary was the nominee. I'm telling you right now, these things never work out. President Trump will be the president again. Thank God. JD Vance will be the vice president, by the way. All right, here's what we're going to do. Yes, Facebook Live later. I'm not going to be live because Biden's going to speak from the White House. We're not doing that. Next hour, you're going to hear Attorney Tim Dodd. And as I said, we're going to discuss Karen Reid case, some other legal situations. You can listen AM 1380. You can also listen 99.9 FM and at the website, depetro.com. We're back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.